Got the legend in the building today, so we got to take our time, man. Make sure we get this master class in coaching. Ladies and gentlemen, you listen to WBH Radio. I'm your host, William Holly. Let's please welcome back to the show the one and only Kenny Pretlow. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for having me back. I enjoyed the last time I was here.
The last time you were here, Kenny, that was one of the biggest podcasts we've done here at WBH Radio. No lie, I had people stop me in the street, strangers, you know what I'm saying, who said, you know, aspiring basketball coaches and stuff, talked about how much they learned from listening to you speak. In fact, I actually ran into one of your players, Matt Scott. Matt Scott stopped me. That was the first time I ever met him. He's like, yo, you have my coach on, different things.
Yeah.
But a lot of people enjoyed that one. What kind of feedback did you get?
It was a lot of positive feedback. A lot of people don't understand, but the inner workings of what a basketball coach's responsibility is, which isn't just try to win basketball games.
For sure. And we talked a lot about your history. You know, it's too illustrious to ignore. You were on the bench at Abraham Lincoln when guys like Sebastian Telfair were there, Lance Stevenson was there, Isaiah Whitehead. You won a city championship at Lawrence Tech with the great Light Cheese Larry Moreno. You know, we talked about, you told some great stories.
Right.
But today, I want to get into, and really get into, the craft of coaching. Your day-to-day activities, how you go about accomplishing these great things. Because I believe the championships are a byproduct of who you are day in and day out.
Yes.
So I'm going to start it this way, Kenny. In your own words, why do you think you've been able to be as effective of a coach for 25 plus years in this great city?
I would say the first thing is I had good mentors and I had good role models. I had good role models in front of me that I was able to go watch. Like I told you, Ray Haskins, watching him. I was able to do some 5-star. I actually was around Simon Ellaby, who won all the championships with Rasheed Wallace and them. I had other guys that have passed on, Miss Lorch, Dennis Miller, guys that just watching and learning my craft. And then I also watched like Mount Vernon High School, Bob Semino. A lot of his kids played for me at Riverside. Mm-hmm. And just being around him and the way he made his kids give eye contact, firm handshakes, yes sir, no sir, just to get a byproduct of we just don't do basketball only. So he was huge. I really started just being around Coach Semino, who just won his 500th game. Still in touch with him and scrimmage him every year because he was just a guy I watched from afar. And then Dean Smith, who was a huge influence. I just was amazed at what he did.
Longtime coach at the University of North Carolina.
Yes, I'm a huge Tar Heel fan.
Were you able to be in his presence or you watching from a distance?
I did go to one of his camps. And I just was amazed. Everything was scripted, everything was this and that. But
what year was this?
I think I went down there. I started coaching in 2002. I think it was 98, 99. Because, they used to do a summer camp. And coaches were invited to come and watch and things. So, and just watching the way he operated and treating everybody the same. People don't know that Michael Jordan did not want to leave after his junior year.
He did it.
Because the seniors got so many perks. They got to assign who carried equipment, this and that. And Mike, and basically Dean Smith said, Mike, you got to go pro.
You got to go pro.
You're going to miss your senior perks.
Kenny, it's interesting. You're going through all of these guys you watched and mentored, and you brought up guys looking other people in the eye and shaking hands. You're not really talking X's and O's. Right. What impact does that have on the product on the court?
It's discipline, being disciplined. Basketball is about being disciplined. If you're disciplined all the time, then you can be disciplined on the court. Where a little act of not being disciplined and doing something wrong can cost you big time. I mean, look at the Knicks yesterday. If they boxed Luka out, you got to know he was missing the free throw on purpose. Yeah. Nobody boxed him out. So he went and got the rebound. If someone would have boxed out, he probably doesn't get the rebound. So it's little things like that every day they're reminded of tasks. Be on time, do your work, be respectful, learn how to look people in the eye, firm handshakes. I think I told you that story. My first job, just because eye contact, firm handshake.
Yeah.
That's how I got the job. The guy was impressed.
What about the coaches who believe, come on, Kenny, that sounds cool, but it's insignificant, man. I need to teach them this press. I need to get them to run up and down. It doesn't really impact what we see on the court, Kenny. That sounds cool, but it doesn't pay dividends.
Some people might think that, but it pays dividends. I mean, you just said it. The byproduct of me being successful is the byproduct of the way I teach and show my kids how to do everything the right way. Not just basketball. We want to learn how to be good students. We want to learn to be good people, and all of that. When you put it all together, it turns into being successful. I mean, if people want to say that it doesn't, and then I would beg to differ.
They got to look at your resume.
I mean, nothing for nothing. Just rehashing before. I mean, I coached Ron when he was 14, 15, 16, 17.
Ron Artest.
20 years later, in a podcast, he mentions my name as a coach who said, you have to do it this way, and was up and held him to it. He still remembers that.
He remembers that. He remembers that. Ron Artest, for those who don't...
Right. He didn't remember. He didn't say, Kenny Pretlow taught me how to shoot. Kenny Pretlow taught me how to be... No. I remember I had one coach, Kenny Pretlow, who used to yell at me when I didn't do things the right way. Yeah. He didn't let me get away from not doing it the right way.
20 years later, after playing basketball around the globe, after winning a championship. For those who don't know, Ron Artest was on a podcast with Shannon Sharp, Club Shay Shay, and he talked about winning a championship with his team, but he didn't get the MVP trophy, so he tried to break all his teammates' trophies, and Kenny P stepped in and like, yo, what are you doing?
Yes.
What are you doing? And you believe it is that discipline that has helped you to be a successful basketball coach over the years. Yes. One thing you mentioned multiple times when you were here on the podcast the first time, you mentioned your first year working at Riverside.
Yes.
They said, Kenny, you're going to be an assistant.
An assistant. The whole year, I was an assistant.
And you mentioned how you believe this has been a great help.
Yes.
In your career.
Yes.
Why exactly? Why did that year as an assistant help you to become a successful head coach?
Well, of course, I'm going to Riverside, so they recruited me to be there. So I'm thinking, well, which great team am I going to get? Here we go, and it was simply Coach Mike McAuley simply said, here at Riverside, when we bring a coach in, you're an assistant coach. And he simply said, to become a great head coach, you have to be able to be a great assistant coach, how to look, eyes, ears. And at first I was like, and then, as the games were going on, I could see it. Now, you suggest, that's the one thing as an assistant coach, that if you understand, my job is to suggest things that may help the team. There are games that I might not have to suggest one thing. Like everything is flowing, we good, and keeping stats keeps you in the game. Like I'm very good at keeping stats because of that. Who's shooting well? Like when we shoot techs, I pretty much know with my statistician, or if I'm at Jeff and Bud says, we got a tech. And he says, hey, Connor, shoot. I said, no, man just made 7 in a row. Because I have it right there. And he'll say it, man, shoot, because he knows.
Right.
Who's shooting well, who's not shooting well, but seeing it through those eyes and understanding, okay, I suggest this, doesn't mean that the head coach makes the call. So I learned that you're never bigger than your head coach.
Yeah.
So even though the head coach, and we could lose, and he might say, hey, I should have listened to that suggestion. I didn't get big-headed and go, hey, that's, that's why I'm here. I said, sometimes we just got to look at different things, and it just.
Did you ever get frustrated in that process? Sitting in the assistant chair, but feeling like you could do better or you knew better?
Nah, because I understood once I saw what they were training me to do. I understood what was going on. I will tell you, it wasn't too many times if I suggested something strongly. Like, I might suggest something like, hey, coach, I think we should fall back from the press. They're breaking it pretty easy. And he keeps pressing. Another 2 or 3 go by, and I go, hey, coach, like, we really need to stop pressing right now. Yeah. It's not working. They're getting a layup every time. Like, I'm going to strongly suggest it. But I never got frustrated. It was never a point where any of the guys that I was under, and pretty much it was, a lot of times I was assistant Thurm, and he's pretty good. So sometimes you got 2 good coaches on the bench. Because my job is, as an assistant, anyone, your job is to basically see what the head coach might not be seeing.
Right.
That's your job. And that takes a gift to be like, I'm not trying to worry about this and that and that. Just suggest. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's sometimes you don't have to. If you're doing stats, that's big. Hey, that's his second foul. That's his third foul. Hey, we got 1 timeout left. Hey, he just made 5 free throws in a row. And things like that.
Yeah. And if anybody's seeing you coach your team now, the Lawn Tech Jets.
Yes.
Kenny P can be animated at times.
Yes.
And in that same week, we'll see you sitting on the bench as an assistant coach at Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
And I think you're providing a great example of what service is. What doing a job is. As a head coach, this is the hat I'm wearing. I'm going to do that job. But when I'm here in Thomas Jefferson as an assistant, I'm in service of the head coach, Lawrence Bud Pilot, who was a guest on this podcast. Salute to Coach Bud.
Yes.
It's truly.
The big dog.
Yeah,
you got to say the big dog. Our buddy, the big dog.
It's phenomenal to see you do that juggling act, Kenny.
One thing I learned as being an assistant coach, you should never get a technical foul. I'm not going to say there's not times I might say, hey, but I'll say that to Bud. I ain't got to say it to the ref. Mm-hmm. That was horrible. Or Bud might say, what kind of call? I said, I don't know. He bugging. That was horrible. But I'm not going to yell out because I'm the assistant. So my job is basically at Jeff. I'm an assistant coach. I do the scoring stats. We split that. Sel does the defensive stats, which is rebound and steals, stuff like that. I do the shooting chart and, all the shots. So that's my job. I'm watching the game, and one thing about Bud, he's very good with us. Like, we can all huddle and everybody has an equal say. And a lot of times, he does, what's best for the team. He can make a call his way or he can go the way we do it. So it works well. But at Lawn Tech, I'm in charge. I got to make sure my guys are hype. I got to try to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, Mike Levy is in that role with me. So, he's doing my stats. So he keeps me up to date on what's going on. He can tell me, hey, what's the name shooting? I can say, hey, stop shooting threes. You missed 3 straight. Go to the basket.
Kenny, assistant coaching, Thomas Jefferson specifically, a lot of guys on that staff, a lot of experience. Yes. How do you go about communicating with the athletes and being sure not to get them twisted up because they may be getting it one way from Sel, they may be getting it one way from Bud. How do you go about connecting with the student athletes, not confusing them, and making sure you're not stepping on any of the other coaches' toes?
Well, one thing about being an assistant coach, most of the players love you because you're not subbing, you're not disciplining.
Yeah.
It's little suggestions like, maybe a kid, hey, stop on that and, go up a little stronger. Hey, you're not cutting good. Just little things like that, And like I said, as an assistant coach, most head, you're not the heavy hand. Mm-hmm. So when you're not the heavy hand, the kids are more likely to, oh, okay, coach, I see, So it's a lot of little things like that, It happens in little huddles and stuff, when you're pretty much prepared. One thing I like about Jefferson, we're pretty much prepared. Our guys understand what they need to do. And I I have that same thing at Lawn Tech. So it's when kids can do what's expected of them, it's a little better. But as an assistant, you get a lot of love. I'm not benching anybody. I'm not subbing anybody. So, hey, if you're upset about your playing time, you got to talk to the big dog.
You got to talk to the big dog. You got to talk to the big dog.
Yeah.
Kenny, I was working as an assistant coach for Brooklyn College for 1 year. I think that was 2018, 2019. Right. And I thought immediately from the door, my head coach did a good job of establishing my credibility with the players.
Yes.
You serve as both a head coach in the city and an assistant. How do you personally, or how do you recommend, and also how important is it for a head coach to establish the assistant coach's credibility amongst the team?
If that's not established, then you shouldn't be there. I mean, the head coach's job is to let people, let the team know that these are the assistant coaches. You ought to respect them just the way you respect me. You ought to listen to them when they say things. There's no disrespect. So if your head coach does not establish that, then there's really no reason to be there. Because if I'm not going to just sit there and the players can not listen to me or, just be disrespectful or things like that, which really never really happens. Because if you got a good head coach, I never had that at Lincoln, never had that at Jefferson, never had that when I did it at Riverside, and I will not allow any of my teams to disrespect. So that's huge, that the head coach establishes that. You should have some roles that you actually do things like in practice. I mean, I might go down and Bud say the guard forwards are going with Kenny down there, and then you work on some drills. So you establish, that's established, like you said, through the head coach, and that's huge.
What was your first year at Lawn Tech?
Lawn Tech opened. When it opened in 2004, that's when we became a entity. But we didn't have sports for 2 years.
Okay.
I told you in the previous, we had a lot of. School was real bad. We were on the closed list.
Yeah.
And I suggested to the principal, well, I think if we get sports in here, we can calm them down.
Okay.
And that's what happened. So 2006 is when we started the program, and as I told you in the previous podcast, may rest in peace, Larry Majors was supposed to be the coach.
Right.
And, he didn't, unfortunately he passed on. And like I said, we didn't have a coach. I went in September, I told the principal, we don't have a coach, I'm looking for one. And I got a coach, you're going to coach.
Kenny Pretlow.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the first practice? Because, Kenny, we got coaches in the city. It's like a new wave of talented coaches that are getting their program started. First practice, Lawn Tech, which was what, Acorn at that time?
Acorn.
There's so much to do, so much to accomplish. Where does it begin? What's that first practice look like, Kenny P?
The first practice is the kids are excited. Now we're a team. Because the first year we were developmental. There were games, but they knew it wasn't real. So the following year, hey guys, we're in the PSAL, and we're in this division. They could look, they see the team and the standings, they're pumped, and we go to practice. And the first practice is, okay, guys, half of you over there, let's go. We're gonna start with some layups.
Basic layups.
Which I tell the kids is the hardest shot in basketball to get, so it has to be made. You can't miss layups. The hardest shot to get.
It's the hardest shot to get because the defense is trying to keep you away from that basket. So
Especially
when you do
layup.
get one, you got to make it.
Got to make it.
That's a nice, simple, and clear explanation.
Say it all the time to them. Say it. I say it all the time, guys. The easiest shot to make is a layup, but it's the hardest one to get.
It's the hardest one to
They're
get.
trying to stop you. They might give you that long range shot over there, and you make it, and they'll decide. But that layup, when you going to try to get a layup, they're trying to stop that. And that's what I still start my practice off with what we call elbows, which is layups, pull-ups, crossover down the middle, and we do that for about 10 to 15 minutes every single day.
That was your first time as a head coach of a PSAL team. You had worked in the Catholic Leagues. You had been assistant at Lincoln.
Yes. I started in Lincoln. that year. Mm-hmm. So remember, Larry Majors was the coach.
Right.
I had been at Lincoln for 2 years. I wasn't going to be the head coach.
Right.
I just established the sports program. And before we became a team, we put in the rules,
Right.
which was being on time, no hats in the hallways, no disrespecting teachers, passing your class.
You established that early on.
Oh, early on. And everybody in the building loved it. Because now they saw the kids were taking their hats off, they were coming to class, they were paying attention because they knew they had to pass these classes now. There was no more running in the hallway. That's why I told the principal we needed to establish a sports team. Because I knew we had guys in there that wanted to play, but they had nothing. There was nothing for them to, why follow rules? I mean, when the bell ring, I'm going home.
School
now,
had no leverage.
Right. And now with the basketball team, you know, and like I told you in the previous podcast, when we won the championship, I think about 7 of them were there. Because I told them, you guys are the foundation. And like I tell people, and all you aspiring coaches, you got to have a program. It's not a team. I have a program. And this is what you must do to be part of my program. I don't care how good a basketball player you are. You got to do this. And it's every year. I might have a kid or two who's pretty good. Oh, I go to Loyola Tech. You on the team? Nah. Why not? You pretty good. I'll be late.
I can't follow the rules.
I can't. You know, they ain't going to say it, but
Right.
somebody will ask me. I did get a phone call. I won't say the player this year. A guy called me. He said, hey, you got a great player. He played for me at AU. He goes to your school. And I did see the guy. I knew he said the name. I won't say the kid's name. And he was all right. He could play, but then I looked at grades and other things. He ain't gonna make it.
He ain't gonna make it here. The basketball team, you mentioned you put these rules in place. It can start to kind of shape the culture for the whole campus.
Yes.
Did you start to see that tide turn? Did you see perhaps principals and APs coming to you to kind of help out with behavioral issues on the campus?
That's to this day. That's to this day because they know there will be a correction. Teachers, but back then, yes, the dean would bring them to me and simply say, whatever you decide, that's what we'll go with. And like I said, kids are going to be kids. So I tell them, I know you kids. Kids are going to be kids. So you get one. That's it, one.
Yeah.
One. You get one. So if a teacher comes to me and says, hey, what's his name was in class, he jumped on the ceiling, he swung over there, and okay, I got it. I sit him down. Miss what's the name said you were swinging on the lights, and the kids say, okay. Sometimes, no, I didn't. An adult has no reason to lie to me, so I'm going to take his side, okay? And like I tell the kids, I'm the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and unfortunately, this is not a democracy, it's a tyranny. So what I say goes. Yeah. And they learn that. And that's a lesson. And kids, because kids don't know, I say, what kind of society you live in? You run the government. We vote our people.
Yeah.
And they learn that. But so usually the talk, we'll end it. Teacher will be grateful, might come to me a week or so later. Hey, thank you. Ever since you talked to him, he's been no problem. Yeah, because he knows the second time this can be suspension, miss a game. So it helps. It sets a standard, like I tell the kids. If the basketball program is like that and everybody's doing what the whole school operates a little better. Like, what hurts us a lot is we don't have a home court advantage, because as you can see, we play at the Brooklyn Post. We get kids that come, but it's not like having the whole school in. That's so different. But back then, we used to play our games at St. John's Rec, which wasn't that far. So we used to get 200-300 kids come to the game. So everybody's behind the basketball team. You're in school. These guys are doing what they doing, and other kids are following. So I think our school turned around. I'm not saying everybody decided, we're going to be good now because we got a good basketball team. No, it's just like you said, it's a culture. Yeah. It's a culture.
What do you think is the biggest lesson you learned in those first couple of years about anything, the sport, people, anything?
I knew it, but I saw it again, which reaffirmed my faith. If you give them discipline, they will accept it. If you give kids discipline and you're steady with it, they will accept it. They're not going to rebel. A lot of people think they're going to. And if the ones that want to rebel, all right, let them go. You know, I would like to say I save every kid. It's impossible. But the bottom line is, like I tell the kids, my job is to graduate you from high school. That's my job. They get that speech every year. My job is I got 12 players. God comes down from heaven, says, Kenny, I like this team. You're going to win the championship, but 2 or 3 of them are going to wind up failing off. 1 or 2 of them might, get arrested. Or you come forth and say, hey, I like this team. And everybody's going to graduate, and everybody's going to wind up being a useful member in society, but you're not going to win a championship. I'm not going to win a championship that year. Mm-hmm. Because to me, that's more important. Like I said, I have kids everywhere.
Yeah.
I got a fireman, I got guys and all of them trust me, and people don't think. I get emails from kids that say, Coach, thank you for teaching me the value of time. I got a job and I got promoted today because they say I'm always on time. Mm-hmm. And that's what I teach them. Like, if time, as we know, is the one thing you can't replace. You can't replace time, guys.
No, sir.
You could lose all your money. You could lose your job. You could lose your car. You could lose your wife and get another wife. But once you waste time,
can't get that back. Can't get that back. Kenny?
And impressive people that make decisions, trust me, notice. Who's he? He's always here, on time, always working hard. Who is he? And once a person in power wants to know who you are, he's going to elevate you. Mm-hmm. Yes.
How long do you think it took for you to be at a point when you said, this machine is functioning the way I want it to be. This is my program?
See, that's the one thing I don't. They're like, right now, I'm not resting.
Come on,
because, hey, if you don't keep gas in your machine, in your car, it'll stop running. If you don't get an oil change, it'll stop running. So every year is a different, and like I told you in the other, but that's what I learned from Tiny. Every year is different. So we did this last year, but now it's a different team this year. So I'm constantly adding and changing things and tweaking and knowing who's who. Like, I always tell you about grade day. So grade day this year fell during the break. So I emailed everybody their copy of their report card. We couldn't practice till today's Wednesday, yesterday, and we sat down and discussed report cards.
You sit down with your team and discuss report cards?
Yes.
What's that to discuss, Kenny? The grades are the grades? But
the grades aren't the grades. Like, there's a kid with an 80, but the teacher says sometimes distract doesn't hand in work. I mean, maybe you could have got an 85 or 90. So we striving for 80s. Mm-hmm. We're striving for 80s. Make it easy to go to college. Gotta have B average. Right. B average puts you in any college that you need to go to. Mm-hmm. You're eligible for a scholarship. So the grades aren't the grades. So I discussed the grades. So no names. I have sophomores. So I got 4 horsemen. They're always together. They go to my office. They go to practice. They come to school together. They're always together. 2 of them are 90 student. One is 85. One's a 65. So yesterday during report, like these guys are 90s, 85s. Like, they don't help you. Like, you guys don't say, you're 65, you keep getting 65, you ain't hanging around me, just to get them to learn why you can't do it. These are your friends. They no different from you, but they're in there doing what they need to do. The biggest thing, and I told both teams, JV and varsity, biggest problem with kids nowadays is task on time. Mm-hmm.
So hold on, let me get this. This is practice time.
Yes.
Are kids in there in their practice uniform or they're in the street clothes?
No, they're in practice.
They're in their practice uniform with their report cards, and you got a powwow going on.
We're talking about report cards for at least a half hour to 45 minutes.
Kenny, we in the middle of a city championship race. What are you talking about?
Nah, grades first.
And that
way they understand.
What impact do you think this has on them? Like that scenario where the 4 horsemen, there's 1 horseman trailing behind. What impact do you think that, or you hope that conversation has?
Because we put them on notice. I put them on notice that if your friends, these are your friends that you hang with all the time, can do that, why aren't you doing it? Mm-hmm. And I also get on, why aren't you guys noticing that? Hey, Chris. Maybe he's in class. He's not doing. Chris. You got to do your work. Chris, you got to do this. You got to do this.
Do you have study hall during the week?
Sometimes I do. I try. But what I learned is, even though in college, as a freshman, you are held to a study hall because they're going to monitor you. I tried to get them to learn pride in your grades mean you're going to do it. Yeah. I shouldn't have to sit over you and say, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, you do this. So I don't have it like per se. There's times where I say, hey, yeah, everybody, we're going to, after school today, we're going to do a study hall. I want to check. Pretty much most of my kids, I will say 17, 29, I will tell you probably 1, 2, 3, maybe 8 guys out of the 30 that are representing us in JV or varsity, maybe 8 guys are below a B average, and everybody else is above a B average. So, because some kids study different.
Yeah.
You know, so I had a smart kid who said, Coach, I can't do homework when I'm around everybody. Yeah. I don't concentrate. I'd rather do it when I go home. And I mean, if you're getting a 90, what am I doing? Say, you know, it's just like your shot. If your shot's going in, I ain't got to change it. Like you said, Larry had a little hitch, but it went in. And it goes in.
Yeah.
And now he does trick shots.
He does trick shots all day. Yeah. Kenny, the grade days. I had this issue when I was actually assistant at Brooklyn College, and we kind of had a little hiccup recently at Wingate. In between when school starts and the report card comes, how do you help them? Or how do you monitor? Because we could go to, are you good? Oh, yeah, Coach, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, they all good. Everybody good when you ask them. It comes from, one, I'm in the school.
Okay.
Once we pick the team, the email goes out, and the teachers eagerly await it.
What email is that?
Who made the team?
Okay.
JV and varsity.
Okay.
With the comment, if there are any issues, such as conduct, work, or anything school-related, feel free to contact me or Coach Levy for assistance.
Okay.
So they love that, especially the freshman coach, the freshman teachers.
Okay.
And one kid, and like I said, I have success. One kid this year, the teacher pulled me aside and said, hey, once he made that team and you sent the email and I talked to him, his behavior, and she raved how good he's become. Because, like I said, I don't want to lose the basketball, so I have to be disciplined enough to keep it. So, I mean, it's here and there, but I'm in the school. So I got the teachers that will, and trust me, probably this year about 3 or 4 teachers reached out. Some of it was easy. One was one of our better kids. I'm like, you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah.
And serious, I asked the teacher, are you sure? Him? I'll talk to him. I say, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And the kid wound up getting like a high grade, so I don't know. Maybe he had a hiccup.
Yeah.
They kids, you know, they come in.
Real life is happening. Real life. And I like that. You said you sent the email. Once they make the team, you send the email. You put the teachers, you put the school on notice.
Yes.
And it's kind of like nowhere the kids can run and hide. You know, everybody's watching. But I'm glad you run into that issue too with kids saying, Coach, I'm good.
Oh, everybody's good.
I'm good.
Everybody good. Yo, how you doing in that class? Oh, I'm doing good.
Good. Okay.
I know the kids that are doing good. There's a reason why I'm asking you how you doing in that class. You're not doing so good. Plus, you have Jupiter. So you have access to I don't know if they use Jupiter at Wingate, where the teachers put up grades daily. Supposed to.
Okay, we have
we can go on and see, hey, right now your teacher's saying you got a 67 in that class. Yeah. So how you doing good? It's not a B. And you're missing this, you're missing that. And they get it corrected. Sometimes it's not accurate. Like, I don't hold them to the fire with the Jupiter because I do understand some teachers don't update. Right. Maybe they'll update once a week. Some do every day.
Right.
So, but I get an idea. And I'm in the school.
Got you. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the product on the court.
Yes.
We played recently.
Yes.
You guys beat up on us pretty bad. But
it's our new style. I'm debuting a new style a little bit.
there was one moment in the game that stood out to me because again we coaching and stuff, and I know we got the legend on the other end. I'm watching. The kids are lined up for a free throw.
Right.
Your lead guard, Siani Arthur, he turns to you. He says, "Coach, we're gonna run this play, whatever it was, A, B, C, black, purple, whatever." And you pause for a second, and said, "Yeah. Let's run that."
Right.
And I marveled at the dynamic. Here you have a kid who feels empowered. Like, yes, that's my coach, but I know what's going on here too.
Right.
He felt empowered to call that play. And you like, oh, snap, that is a good idea. Can you talk to me about that, just that dynamic?
Well, basically, I run a open offense. I mean, we have sets, but like I tell kids, if we running too many plays, this is a very boring game. So we try to, take advantage. So Siani is a pretty good shooter. So the play he actually wanted to run, of course, was for himself.
Of course.
And he knows he's able to say, "Hey, coach, I think we can run blue off of this." And we can run blue off of that. So, but I run a open kind of offense. I try to tell kids, be a basketball player.
Oh my God!
Don't be so. We don't have. I don't have a true point guard. Like when we get the ball, Siani, you say Siani's their point guard. That don't mean Siani's dribbling it up every single time. Demare can bring it up. Keyshawn can bring it up. Kyle can. And it takes trust. So some kids struggle with it at first. Like they bring it up, they turn it. Like you're not going to be allowed to dribble the ball if that's what you're going to do. You got to make the right decision.
Yeah.
So, because I think, like I said, Golden State changed the game. We were talking about that some more today when I had my varsity practice. How they free will, how Draymond Green plays that spot as the point forward. He turns. They got cutters. They got back doors. They got the pin downs, where you're free to take what the defense gives you and what we can get. Of course, we have some set plays, but a lot of our stuff is freewheeling.
Why do you say too many plays makes for a boring game?
Because to me, that means I'm always playing against a set defense. I'm never pushing the ball at you.
Right.
So that means if we get a rebound, and no matter where Siani is, he now has to come get the ball. We throw it to him. Now we dribble it up. We want to run this play, so you're going over there, you are going over there, and you're going there, and you start here, and then we start the play here, and we go over there. But the defense is back now. So that means I got 5 guys pretty much where they want to be.
Yeah.
Versus rebound side, let's push. Now we may get a 2-on-1. We may get a drive and we might hit our trailer because the team is sprinting back. So our fast break is pattern, and I've been running it forever. So it works. I do it in AU. Wherever I go, I'm gonna teach 4 out, 1 in.
Right.
And I don't really have a 1 in because I don't have a post play. So really it becomes more of a 5 out. And we take advantage. So we want to get disadvantages.
Of course.
We want to get disadvantages. So I don't want to.
I want to get a disadvantage. More offensive players against fewer defensive players.
Right. And I might. If you got a big guy and we rebound side and we're out, your big guy can't get to that paint. So now maybe we can attack the paint because he's not there to block a shot or influence. Especially if you got a big guy. I got to run.
Kenny, you said something I say all the time. I want them to be ball players.
Yes.
But what I'm finding troubling is you give them freedom, it could look like a mess. It could look like chaos. It could look like rec park basketball. So you try to give them a little structure, but then they become robots, right? Then well, coach, you told me to catch the ball in this spot right here. I want you to be a ball player. So Kenny, how do you find that balance of structure, but giving them the freedom to hoop?
Well, it's funny today at JV practice.
Silence that for me, please, Kenny.
I actually,
Yeah, because we need this answer. I need you to be a ball player.
I actually today, during JV practice, did that. We were supposed to run a set, And the kid got overplayed, and the other kid said, well, coach said run. I said, I am a robot. I don't have a brain of my own. Guys, especially in practice, he knows the play. He runs the same play. So if I run here and I see the guy there cheating, what I got to do? I can't run that. Now I got to counter. I got to run a counter, or I got to do something different. So, but the whole thing is, like I said, it's pattern. So, we got a dribbler, we got a shooter, we got a weak side guy, we got a trailer, and we got one guy cutting. Mm-hmm. So the kids know that. So it can't become a mess because I got guys here. Now, if it becomes a mess, somebody's making a mess. Mm-hmm. And trust me, it's not Jefferson in the Brooklyn Law, sub. And I simply say, you are making a mess. Mm-hmm. You drove down the lane, guy helped. Instead of kicking it immediately, you're trying to go through him, go under the rim, and scoop it in. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, the guy in the corner is wide open. Mm-hmm. Wide open. So we have to trust each other, because one thing I'm very big on is that all 5 of my guys can score.
Yeah, you're a dangerous basketball team.
And now, that way we can't go to a game and somebody say, all right, you know what? Siani's their best player. We're going to take Siani away. We're going to double team Siani. We're going to do this to Siani. Okay, you can do all that to Siani. He's going to throw the ball to him, and he's going to score. And then if you do that, you're going to throw it over there, and he's going to score. And eventually, Siani will be guarded one-on-one, which would make him more dangerous.
Is that where the empowerment comes from? I mentioned how Siani felt comfortable, like, yo, Coach Kenny P, this is what we about to run, da-da-da-da. Is that where it comes from, the lack of constraints on them?
Yeah, they know, even though, like I said, we have sets, they know I'm not a big set. Sometimes I show them after the game. I say, guys, how many plays did we run today? They're like, 1, maybe 2. Yeah. Our break was, the break was on point today. We made good passes. We made good decisions. Our shooters were hot. Guys cut well.
So then what are you doing during the game, Kenny P? If they know what needs to be done.
Coaching defense. Because the one thing kids will slack on, and Mr. Siani is a prime example of it. He's getting better. You know what? I'm going to rotate this time. Yeah. I'm going to watch this time. I'm not going to rotate down this time. Mm-hmm. So basically, like I tell them, and I learned this, and people say, would you rather be in a tie game? Would you rather be up 2 with the ball or down or tied on defense? And I will always say defense.
Okay.
Because I try to teach the kids, you got to be able to dig in and execute on the defensive end. Mm-hmm. And I like defense. And just so freewheeling, this is a lot of guys. So, we got a different type of look team this year. Not only Siani, we have Keyshawn Murray, Kyle Dude, Demir. These guys are interchangeable. Mm-hmm. Like, they all can play every position in our break. They all can shoot. They all handle well. So they've been getting on me because I'm a 2-3 matchup guy. Like, man. No. 2-3 matchup is man-to-man. We just make sure we have help. And I'm pretty staunch on it. And it really started last year. Oh, Coach, we should be pressing. And I'm like, you guys don't want to rotate, and guys ain't going to play hard, and then I'm going to get upset. And you know what I'm going to say? Back up. So we start doing it in practice, and I saw some things. And we did it in the game, and we didn't rotate well, so I took it off. Right. And they kept after me, and so I think against you guys, we pressed pretty well. We were pretty well, good rotations, good cutoffs of, certain plays we want to trap. Right. So I will say, hey, when he gets the ball, we got to trap. We got to get the ball out of his hands. Don't worry about that pass here. Let's get that. And they've been doing pretty good, like I said, and they enjoy it, and they've been playing harder with it and working harder. And when I see that, I say, okay, so we add more and more to it. The mayor's great in the back. Siani's pretty good, and it looks like he plays way harder when we press. And Keyshawn is just super at keeping the ball in front of him, and Kyle's gotten a lot better. He probably took the longest to learn rotating and doing like things, but eventually it comes around.
Few things. Last year, we did the podcast early 2022. And I think we played after that. And I was determined to watch the legend Kenny P. And at halftime, no exaggeration, he didn't say a word to his team. No exaggeration. He sat there with his legs crossed. And I thought that was a sterling example of leadership. I think leadership is about preparing your people or training your replacement. So if that team could stand up on his own, if they already got the blueprint walking in here,
Right.
that's the way it should be. What do you make of that?
I mean, there's sometimes I have to talk at halftime. Sometimes I don't. Mm-hmm. It depends. Like you said, it's the feel of the game. Are we doing what we're supposed to do? Sometimes we're not. I'm like, guys, like right now we're not playing. We're not rebounding. Yeah. We're not kicking the ball. We're not running to our lanes. Whatever it is. And sometimes, like you said, like, hey, I could sit here, winning or losing, everything's going well. It's just. Sometimes, like I tell guys, hey, if you throw the ball to the guy in the corner and he's open, he's supposed to shoot it every time until I sub him for not making it. Or I tell him no longer shoot it.
Right.
Because we can't have guys that are not comfortable shooting the ball when they're wide open. Because that's what kind of offense we run. We're basically, when we're at our best, we're basically a pretty good pull and kick team.
So you're not upset at missed shots?
No. I told you that in the last podcast. You shoot a jump shot, the best jump shot shooting in the NBA misses
6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Maybe 43%.
Yeah.
So if you go 5 for 10 from the 3-point line, well, that's really good. But say you 3 for 10, that's 33%. I got to live with that.
When somebody like Light Cheese is rolling, like you mentioned in that playoff game against E. Hall, he's just cooking. Or when Lance say, yo, give me the effing ball, I'm about to get busy. Even Siani will come over, pull a deep three, and nobody really bats an eye.
Right.
How does a coach help to facilitate these type of moments?
Well, that becomes with team building. That's team building. That yes, Siani can shoot from here. He does it in practice. He practices it. No kid plays for me that doesn't take shots that he does. He has not practiced. I say, all right, you're going to get shots from here. So there's times when Siani does his shooting, I will say, Siani, 10 feet back. So he
practice?
Yes, in practice. Yeah, I mean, people think he's making these shots by luck. He practices them. The mayor's the same way. He has. So they have freedom because they do it in practice, and when we run against each other, they take those shots. Other players know, they have the freedom to take those shots because I watch them practice. I watch coach encourage them to take those shots. I got to tell Siani, like, how many shots you really think you're getting from the 3-point line? Now, he gets some because in transition you can't. But if we running some stuff, you got to be ready to shoot as you coming down, and these guys are worrying about the 3-point line. Yo, my coach lets me shoot from here. And that started with all of them. Matt Scott, Miko, Larry was great at that. Tank was super at that. So it's practice.
Kenny, in training a team and a young player, there are so many aspects of the game that you always see an area where it can be improved. Man, I wish he would have did this or that. How do you fight the urge of micromanaging?
I micromanage, though.
How so?
Because, like you said, if it's not right, I'm going to tell a kid, what was you looking at on that? Like, a lot of times it's this. We run a freewheeling offense. I blow by my man. And now I wind up taking a tough shot because the help guy came. Or the corner guy came and I didn't kick. And so in practice, of course, in the game, I got to live with it at that time. So in practice, wait, did you see him? And some kids look at me like, You had to see him. You went by your man, and this is what we talked in the beginning. They're not going to give you that layup unless it's a really bad team. You know someone's going to rotate, so you're not prepared to pass. And we do that when we run drills, like when we run our press breaker, like I tell.
But hold on, Kenny. In practice and games, how you would address the situation is a bit different. Different approach.
Well, in the game is the simple fact that I can't call a timeout every time you do that, make a bad decision. So I got to deal with it on the fly. Sometimes I try to get the kids, like I tell the kids that get missed. Well, you can't be upset on the way down. Say, hey, when you made that move, I was open. Look, I'm right there. I'm with you. I can't call a timeout. It's not like practice. Practice, I will stop play every single time that happens. Every single time play will be stopped.
That's tedious.
Nah, it's not tedious because after a while you start seeing them. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is it tedious when my mother taught me how to go to the bathroom by myself? I'm quite sure it might have been tedious, but she stayed with it till I got it.
Yes, sir.
So I got to stay with it till you get it. Now, that doesn't mean you go to the game and you don't make it, but in the game, I have to deal with it on a different level.
Yeah.
I can't call a timeout. If it's a scrimmage, I will. I mean, timeout, excuse me, it's a scrimmage. I got to get right. But in a game, I can't. I might deal with it on the bench. I might sub the play and tell them, like I told you earlier, you're making a mess. You're not making the right decisions. You're charging or you're throwing the ball in to help when we got guys wide open. You know they're there. We do this, and this is what I harp on them. We do this every day, the training of the brain. So you should know if I go right down the sideline, beat my man, helps either come in corner or here. So one of these two are going to be open. If nobody comes, I got to lay.
Got you.
Right.
You guys were just engaged in perhaps the A matchup of the first half of the season. The Lawn Tech Jets versus the Transit Tech Express. You know, everybody was looking for that game. There's highlights online.
Yes.
It's a great matchup. You guys fell short by 2 points.
Yes.
What was the story of that game?
Toughness. Little Jim.
Played at Transit.
At Transit, hard to try to spread them out. They're a tough team. They play very hard. They have a great athletic play in Ashton. I think Reynolds is his name. Ashton Reynolds. I told my team in practice, maybe 2-3 days before, if you do not box Ashton Reynolds out, he will tap dunk. So in the first half when he was tap dunking, I told you 3 days ago he was going to do that. When that shot goes up, one of you must say, I have to go engage a body. But this is the one thing, like a lot of people, and I don't know if I should say this or not, but I told Levy before the game, we're not going to win this game. We're probably going to play well. I don't doubt my team, and I'm not saying I tried to lose the game. I know toughness is something that teams have to see. So now, guys, we played well. It was a 2-point game. We lost by 2. We had the lead. We threw the ball away a couple of times. We didn't understand that the pressure is going to be a little harder because the rotations are shorter. We didn't understand the toughness in getting a rebound. But, like everybody says, it's a big game, this and that. One, we played them again. Last year, we weren't in the same division. This year we are.
You're going to play them twice. You're going to play them a second time this year?
Second time. And like I tell my kids, winning a city championship is a marathon. It's not a dash. So winning games in December can lead to losses in March.
Yes.
Or losing games in December can lead to wins in March. So to me, toughness is something you have to see. Like, okay, we played them. Didn't matter if we didn't box out. They ain't got nobody flying in and tap dunking. And what they don't understand, that energizes the building. Without question. The building, guys. So if we're on a run, we're doing good, and all of a sudden here, you go, and it was a good game.
Few things did, Kenny.
Yes.
And I hear coaches talk about, yo, my kids just didn't want it. I think if a kid shows up every day,
Oh, they want it.
they want it.
I never question the kids' want. There's not a kid that you're going to take to a basketball game
That don't want it.
that don't want to win.
He's showing up every day. He don't want to get embarrassed in front of his mama, his daddy, his girlfriend.
Yes.
But they may not be tough enough. So I'm going to ask you, Kenny, one of the best coaches to ever do it. Can a coach help make a team or individual tougher?
Oh, yeah. That's what practice is for. I'll tell you this. In the beginning of the year, we, a couple of my guys got their chests puffed out. Oh, yeah, we good. We this, we that. Practice might not have been where I wanted it. And I know, and trust me, I tell my teams, I don't scrimmage anyone that I think we will beat. I mean,
practice wasn't as intense early on.
Yeah, because they feeling themselves.
Yeah.
First scrimmage, November 12th. And I was warning them. At that time, number 18 in the nation, Christ the King High School. Mm-hmm. At Christ the King. See how tough you want to be there. Mm-hmm. We go there. They handle us. Since then, the practice level went up. Guys now understood, yeah, this little la-da-da. Them guys was like, give me that. Mm-hmm. Throw it. So that started it. Mm-hmm. So I see, okay, Christ the King. Now we go play Bishop Loughlin, and we win 2 quarters, tie another one. Like, okay, the difference, and that was Tuesday. So Saturdays, Christ the King. Tuesdays, Bishop Loughlin. Then we go to Mount Vernon, defending Section 1 champs. Mm-hmm. Tough scrimmage, another tough, and now I see it. So the game against, like I said, we're going to play Transit in that gym. Probably not tough enough yet. They'll see it. Mm-hmm. And I could reference it, and it could be there. All right, here we got to make sure strong passes, no weak passes, easy. Got to box out a guy that can energize the building. Mm-hmm. All it takes is a body. He can't jump through your body.
Right.
And I will tell you this. I think and at halftime I reminded them, he didn't get a tap dunk in the second half. Mm-hmm. It was all first half. Mm-hmm. Second half, we did a pretty good job on him. Mm-hmm. We did, as far as that. I mean, he wound up making a big 3 toward the end. So I was happy. So I leave with a loss that I said, okay, in the second half, we were there. We were right there. And we had the lead. We
so these are moments that are going to grab their attention?
Yes.
And let them know that they need to turn it up a notch?
Well, with the maturation of trying to win a championship, like I teach my team, it's a marathon. Mm-hmm. Championship ain't till March.
Right.
So we played them 2 weeks ago. Like, it's a stepping stone that we learned from that game. Played them tough. Was a good, tough, hard-nosed team. Everybody that liked it, hard-nosed, tough team. And we went blow for them, but we lost on toughness. A couple of tough times, tough plays had to be made. We didn't make them. They made them. And that's going to be the difference, to me, in 2 basically evenly matched schools.
So as you move forward, head coach Kenny Pretlow, how are you going to try to make your team a little tougher?
Well, you go in, you add the rebounding drills, you add the box out drills. Hey, if you don't box your man out, 10 push-ups, things like that. Impress on certain kids, they have to rebound the ball. We don't have no bigs.
Yeah.
I don't have no bigs. So I tell guys, I tell them the story of Matt Scott. Biggest guy I had, played 1 through 5. Senior year, averaged 30 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. Went to college in the MAC as a guard. He's no longer playing forward, averaged 7 rebounds. His coach called me and says, kid, rebounds shit out the ball. He had to for 3 years. Yeah. Rebounds about toughness. And I think we talked about it in podcast. Dennis Rodman, why is he in the Hall of Fame?
He's in the Hall of Fame. Grabbing
Rebounding.
them
You
boards.
know.
Two more things from the Transit game. You speak about the environment. Transit does a great job in that building.
Yes.
Kenny, the X's and O's is one thing, but what about preparing your
No X's and O's in that game.
team psychologically, mentally, emotionally to deal with an environment like that? How can a head coach prepare the team and the individuals?
That goes back to my training with Danny. May rest in peace. Tiny and them guys. It's a big game, guys. Lights is on. Jam packed. In the huddle, I say, can't ask for nothing better than this. Now you got to perform. And like I said, we did well. I mean, I was happy. I didn't leave there melancholy. Of course, I want to win the game.
For sure.
But the bottom line was we did a lot of good things, and we did some other things. And it wasn't X's and O's. To me, they just out-toughed us down the stretch. With under 4 to go, we were up 4. We lost by 2.
What about people who may not be prepared mentally for that environment yet? Is there anything a coach can do to help them along the way? Maybe big games, you may be more animated, you could be a little bit more jovial to lighten the mood. Is there anything Kenny P does?
Nah, games like that, I pretty much let them play. They're prepared. I mean, we do too much.
Right.
Like, I mean, come on now. We scrimmage in Christ the King. Over the summer, we're playing, in all the leagues. We played Cardoza. We played John Brown. So everything I do in the summer is only high school. I don't mix my teams up. So they're prepared for bigger moments and bigger things. Like Siani's role changed. And I think I tell you every year. So last year, all Siani had to do is run the corner. Chewy's going to penetrate, kick them in the corner. He's going to shoot threes.
Right.
This year, Mr. Siani, you have to handle the ball. You have to break people down. Last year, Kyle and Keyshawn were basically our third and fourth options. Now they're, basically 1A, 2A. The mayor does a lot of little things for me, but, he can handle the ball, he shoots the ball. He's phenomenal on the defensive end, he rebounds. But in that game, he got in foul trouble. That kind of hurt us. Okay. Thought it was a couple of dubious calls, but so they're prepared. They're prepared. I mean, they're looking forward to the game. It's not like we don't talk about the game. Like, right. We're going to prepare for certain games.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I prepared them for you guys. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, Wingate is up and coming. You got to be ready to play. And so every game, I mean, there's, every game, certain games, I know we're probably not going to lose. So preparing them for those games is more like if we do everything we're supposed to do, they don't have a shot of beating us. Mm-hmm. Other teams, if we screw up a play or two can cost us the game.
Transit Tech has been pretty dominant for the last 2 years. They were a play away from winning the city championship. Last year, they were ranked number 1 in the state.
Yes.
I guess I'm trying to get
I think they're still undefeated. Yeah.
I'm trying to get a peek into what kind of, I guess, competitor is Kenny Pretlow. Are they circled on your calendar? Are you watching film every day and night? Like, what's your approach to that?
Let me tell you something. I'm into healthy rivalries. Yeah. This is the first year us and Bedford got separated. I didn't know how to act. Seriously, I called Rob. We're not in the same league. We got a scrimmage. We got to do something.
Rob Phelps, head coach of Bedford.
And I will tell you this, with the transit coach we played in there, they had an event after the like a postseason tournament.
Okay.
At Transit. I think it started in April, went for about a month.
Okay.
I know we played, Grady, they played. So to me right now, I have a healthy rivalry with them. Mm-hmm. Like, nobody disrespecting each other, hard-fought game. I'm quite sure he knew it was going to be a tough game. I know it's going to be a tough game. Both teams know it's going to be a tough game. And I relish that.
Yes, sir.
I mean, to me, the more teams that you have to, you're going to have a good game and it's going to be a healthy rivalry, to me, is welcome. It's welcome by me. And right now, I have no problem with Transit. I rooted for them to win the championship simply because they was from Brooklyn.
From right around here.
So if I'm still a Brooklyn born and bred guy.
For sure.
So I'm going to root for Transit in that situation. And right now, I have nothing but respect for his program. He's got kids, I will tell you this. And I'm quite sure he knew, and he did. He said, everybody did try to get Ashton to leave there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he's still there. That means he trusts in his teammates, trusts in his coach, trusts in his school.
Yeah.
And right now they're doing what they did last year. They're undefeated, and they're definitely going to be a contender for the championship.
Mm-hmm. With the rivalries, earlier this year, unfortunately, we had a fight in Brooklyn PSAL early on between Thomas Jefferson South Shore. Were you on the bench that game?
Yes, I was. Wasn't no fight. I ain't gonna say he threw a punch, but he threw a blow. Because he got pushed to the floor. Now he should keep his head.
Right.
And unfortunately, with the way the rules say, since a couple of our kids, and I was a little upset with myself because they went out, but I did send them back. But basically, if you go on the court during an altercation, the PSAL now classifies that as a brawl. You forfeit the game, win, lose, or draw. None of their kids went on the court, so that's why they didn't have to forfeit. And then you forfeit your next 2 games.
Got you.
So, and the game went on after that, and it was no further incidences. Of course, the kid that pushed him to the floor got ejected. Sat on the bench because we didn't have any further incidences.
Let me ask you this though, Kenny, and I don't even condemn the kids. This is the situation. Well, I don't condone it, but cool. Put the kids to the side. Unfortunately, it's the second year Jeff subject to suspension.
We all called repeat offenders.
And, I'm talking to some people that's high up and respected, and they're a little disappointed in the leadership. And honestly, this is my biggest fear. A dust-up happening on my watch and my name being attached to it. So, Kenny, long-time coach in the city, what responsibility do we have as leaders in the melees, the brawls, the dust-ups that happen on a court?
Well, to me, fortunately, this is an abnormal thing. It doesn't happen a lot. There's a lot of highly contested games in the PSAL. I mean, we went to Eagle. The environment in there was ridiculously, and we played a great game, and it was a 2-point game, and everybody shook hands and left. So I don't think, like they'll say it's leadership. I will tell you this. I'm coaching my team, and 2 of my kids, or 1 of my kids gets involved in something, and everybody's surrounded. My first reaction is not my bench. It's get out here and get my players, because they're in direct violation. So now what we're going to try to do is we'll have a coach assigned to do that. But basically, an adult sees a fight, what are you going to do? You're going to run to get the kids.
But what about those that say the kids should be trained and know that fighting is not an option?
I tell my kids that, and that's the reaction of a kid. If that's the case, then police could stop murderers. Say, you know what, he got bad intentions. We don't know, and we, and we talk to him about it. That you got to have a cool head. Right. I tell my kids to the extreme. Basketball is a contact sport, so you could be walking up the court and a kid just decides to elbow you in your head. That's illegal. Can't be done. Right. But if you elbow him back, you get the same punishment he did.
For sure.
The same exact punishment. The ref now doesn't go, okay, you don't get a tech because he hit him first, and that's in boxing. You get hit in boxing, you're allowed to hit back. Right. Not in basketball. So, but the reaction that a person can have can be unpredictable.
Yeah.
You could be calm, cool, and collected and lose it in a second. It depends.
Yeah.
So to me, that's the abnormal. Yeah. So you don't run around and Jane, like you said, they say we repeat offenders. And in both situations, basically, the punishment was for our kids leaving the bench, not fighting.
Gotcha.
Yes.
You're pulling double duty, head coach of Law and Tech, assistant at Thomas Jefferson. They play in a double A. Well, Jefferson plays double A. You play in a single A.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, okay, it's not a big deal. But there's a borough championships when the leagues cross paths.
Well, let's remember, I played Jefferson in the boroughs about 3-4. So this is, I played Lincoln in the boroughs with Law and Tech.
Yo, forgive me, audience, that I never asked him about this. I'm sorry.
No, I thought we discussed it. Remember in the last part, it's if I played Jefferson, Bud knows I'm coaching Law and Tech.
Oh, yeah, of course, but I didn't know it actually happened. You played Jeff?
Yes, in the boroughs.
How'd it go?
We lost. We lost.
That's crazy.
We lost by about 15, maybe 20. I played Lincoln.
You would have the advantage, though, because you know everything they doing. They don't really know everything that you're doing over there at Law and Tech. You know all their kids. They don't know your kids.
Okay, that's a mental advantage.
Right.
Is the difference, and you don't disrespect anybody, and I tell my kids that's why we play there to show we can compete. Mm-hmm. But my center is 6'1".
Yeah.
And some AA schools have 6'7" guards. So it's going to be a challenge for us to be a bona fide AA school. I know this year they wanted to do it. They actually had done it. You know, we were in a division where we were going to play Boys High and Brooklyn Collegiate after they changed it multiple times. And then for whatever reason, it was put back to normal.
Right.
I understand what Coach Haskins is doing. He's trying to level the field. He wants kids to feel free to go to any school because you're going to play the best of the best no matter what.
Right.
But I think it takes a little time for that to get implemented and trying to get other coaches to understand if we're going to do that, then we have to raise our level.
Right.
Which was Coach Haskins saying, like, okay, well, these coaches are going to have to raise their level because this is what I'm eventually want to happen. Versus playing your competition level. And I think the A is very competitive.
For sure.
I think it's very competitive. Like right now, you got Mary Bertram undefeated. You got Transit Tech undefeated. You got Clinton High School undefeated. There's somebody in Manhattan undefeated. I think Brandeis or no, I think it's Brandeis. Okay. And I think when the playoffs come every year in the A division, the Final Four is always at least 2, maybe 3 new teams in the Final Four.
Yeah.
I think you have the same teams that compete. Like Bedford is going to compete
for sure
for the championship. You're not easy out. We're competing for a championship.
For sure.
Naturally trained. All those teams I mentioned, and then you still got schools with pride if they're in the playoffs. Banneker, Will's been there. He runs the program. Yeah. So you got, up in the Bronx. I know the guy at Evander and Lehman, those guys been around.
They're going to compete.
They're going to compete. So and I love the AA. It's very competitive, especially Brooklyn AA. It's a war. I relish watching good, being involved in those type of games. Like the environment at Eagle was off the chain. The South Shore environment was off the chain. Like I said, thankfully, abnormally, that we're not getting fights, and now coaches got to get disciplined, and we understand the fact that yes, maybe we've got to stop that. But so I relish that. But I think when you look at it, you're gonna say South Shore may be the favorite to win it again. He won the last 3, so. I don't think you can definitely say Murray Bertram did win it last year.
Yeah.
And they have a shot to win it again, but you can't definitely say that because I would say Transit has a chip on their shoulder. They lost by 1.
For sure. For sure. Kenny, let me see. You mentioned Ray Haskins. In fact, the first time I ever heard the name was on that episode we did with you, Ray Haskins, who you mentioned was a coach you enjoyed watching.
Right.
Who is now the PSAL executive director.
Right.
What was it about Ray Haskins that you enjoyed watching?
Well, the first thing was, as I started my journey in coaching in a lot of AUs, I didn't see too many guys of the same colors.
For sure. Okay.
So that's the first thing. Same colors. I saw that they ran like, okay, Beetle got the ball. Andre's running down the middle, and he can dunk the shit out the ball. Ice is running over there because his silky smooth jumper. You know, Darnell Williams is doing all the dirty work, giving offense, rebound, tip-ins. He's playing the best play on defense. And I just saw how he interacted, and I could tell. I'm watching him, and I'm like, wow, you know, that's how you coach.
Yeah.
And I could tell his kids were disciplined. I could tell that they were doing things the right way. I could just tell. I didn't have any interaction with him. I didn't interact with Coach probably when he went to LIU, and because he got Richie, you know, he had Richie Parker, Charles Jones, guys I was involved with. And let's remember, he went to the NCAA tournament
at a school that doesn't go too often.
Exactly. So whatever he's doing is working.
Right. What was this energy like in the city when that was taking place?
I mean, I just thought it was super. And I mean, I watch him and he's coaching. And remember back then, you only had one representative per borough. So you had to win your Brooklyn Borough Championship to go to the playoffs. There was no...
At the high school level.
Right.
Okay.
There was no, okay, Aham lost, they still no. So he had to beat Paul Brown, another guy. I'm like looking at the
Paul Brown at what school?
At the high.
Boys and girls, okay.
I'm like, wow, you know, this is something else. And I'm watching Chuck Granby over there at, it's Campus Magnet, Andrew Jackson. And he's rolling out all type of guys. So, but Ray was he was there. I was able to go to a lot of his games. Once I liked the way he did, I went to a lot of games. Because back then the playoff games would be at neutral site.
Yeah.
So a lot of them would be at Canarsie. So we used to make that trip. I lived in Williamsburg. You know, when you're a little young, that's like the other side of town.
Yeah, for
now
sure.
I'm like, yo, that's right there.
That's right there.
Yeah.
But nah, Kenny, your podcast was big for a lot of reasons. Not only did it do good numbers and people enjoyed it, but you mentioned Ray Haskins' names. I was able to track him down, and we did a big episode with him also talking about the PSAL.
Yes, he has a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
And the one thing I know about Coach, he's going to get it done. He's going to be fair, but he's also he remembers it the way he had when he coached, where like every school had good players.
Had players, yeah.
Back then you had a lot of zone situations. Now kids are free to go where they want.
Wherever they want in the city.
Wasn't too many. I don't even think I don't think Coach Haskins had a sneaker deal. I don't remember all of them wearing Nikes or Converse or anything like that.
It's a new day.
It's a different situation. You know.
He got your former head coach working up there with Dwayne Tiny Morton, who you worked under at Lincoln for a long time. Yeah. I saw on your social media, Kenny. Well, I don't think I saw it on yours specifically. I saw you in some pictures. You guys had a reunion this past summer.
Yes.
Abraham Lincoln. What were you guys celebrating?
We was celebrating Lance's the fourth championship. Like I told you, contrary to popular belief, the ring does not come with the championship. You got to get the rings on your own.
Yeah.
And Lance decided that he wanted to get the ring. And then he decided we should do a reunion, and it was real nice. We was over there on Forster Avenue. I forgot the name of the place. Lance, his family, Buddha, just about the whole team was there. Sebastian came at the end. He was in there. Tiny. It was really nice. It was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. To be a fly on the wall in that room, Kenny.
It was just a good time. Everybody had a good time. Telling the old war stories, Big James Padge, Vince, and all the guys. Even the guys that didn't play that much, they were there. But they, it was They were part of it.
For sure.
Tiny gave a nice speech. I spoke. Lance spoke. Lance's father spoke. Buddha spoke.
And after the dust has cleared and years have gone by, when it's fresh, sometimes we may be tired of seeing each other and everything. But when years have passed and things have changed, I'm sure it was really a joyous time.
Yeah.
People just appreciating one another.
People I hadn't seen. There's some guys on that team I hadn't seen. Justin Green.
Because you guys are all a part of each other's stories.
Yes. We're part of history.
For sure.
That's one thing, like when we won it, and my thing in the locker room was like, this can only be tied.
Yeah.
Could never be broken.
4 championships in a row. 4 PSAL championships in a row.
Yeah.
Kenny.
Smoke trying to get it. Smoke trying to get it. Shout out to my guy Smoke. Healthy rivalry, like people think. I saw Smoke lay down a lot of groundwork and put in a lot of time with kids and working with kids. So, right now he's at the pinnacle and he's trying to really get to the pinnacle. But I'm at Jeff, so we're going to try to stop it.
we talking about Smoke. He just landed a big time acquisition, Kenny P.
Wow.
He just got, I heard, is the top 75 junior in the world. I've seen him ranked as high as the 40th junior in the world coming from the Patrick School. How do you receive that information?
I see him when he's on the court. I don't pay attention to stuff like that. He's going there. Okay, we play South Shore again, and when we go that day, if he's there, we'll deal with it. Yeah. I don't get caught up. I don't get caught up in that because one player can't win you a championship. I'm quite sure the kid is probably naturally a good player, and I guess Smoke has a.
But Kenny, it's not just one player. He adding a player to the defending champions.
Yeah.
A nationally ranked player.
No,
What's that mean for the city and the PSL?
I don't know. Some people in comments put, it's over now. Like, why? Why is it over now? Yeah. Why is it over now? Like, he's one player. So, as far as I know, Smoke he's playing pretty well. Yeah. And now you got to add a player. So, it could strengthen him. But, like I said, I'm a basketball coach, so I'll deal with it when we play them in the rematch.
When's the last time you've been out coached?
2 weeks ago. I lost the transit. I got out coached.
Kenny, come on. Now, because you lose doesn't mean you got out coached, you got out executed. They might have had the horses that you didn't have.
I got out coached. I lost. I got out coached.
That's it. You putting it on you.
I got out coached.
All right.
I mean, my kids didn't make the right play. Maybe I didn't have the right kid in this time. Maybe I am in the right situation. I got out coached. Gotcha. See, I'm a humble guy. I don't say we lost. It wasn't my fault. Yeah. There's things maybe. I do remember a certain call that I made that I regretted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, calling a play? What?
Yeah, calling a play. I didn't think I ran the right play in that situation. I thought it was. Maybe I thought it was going to work, but I should have. Sometimes you got to stay with the hot hand. I learned that from Tiny. You just stay with the hot hand.
Yeah.
You try to add something extra to something that's working already. But so as far as I know, I got outcoached. Lost by 2. Come from the old school that a coach should be worth 6 points. You lose by 6 or less, then that's on the coach, not the players.
Kenny P, you've had a lot of success in the city. You're a head coach. Not many people would question you or your methods. How do you make sure you're staying sharp? Your ego is not getting the best of you? You're still doing what's right by the team, or you're still learning the craft of coaching and staying on top? Like, how do you hold yourself accountable and stay sharp when you are the head coach and there's nobody to kind of reel you in?
Well, that comes from my mother's training, may she rest in peace, of make sure you try to learn something new every day. Never rest on your laurels. Mm-hmm. Comes from Dean Smith thing of no ego. In this, when you're a coach, you should have no ego. Mm-hmm. Be willing to adapt and study your craft. Constantly looking at new situations, taking in consideration the type of players I'm coaching, like this year, we're probably doing more pressing than I ever had because of the guys I got. Like they're not bad at doing it, and they want to do it. So I don't want to say to them, "No, we're not going to do it." I hold them responsible to doing it the right way as best as possible. But I tell the kids every day, and they know. It goes back to me sending the quote out every day. But I read a quote every day. When I wake up in the morning, first thing I do is read a quote. And I have that randomly selected to me. Like I tell the kids, you go on, sign up. They send you a quote every day. So I read a quote. I try to learn something every day. I try to work as hard as possible every day. I never sit back and rest on my laurels. I don't consider myself better than any other coach. I'm willing to learn. I've had, like I said, I had great guys. I forgot to mention Bob Leckie at Loughlin, taught me a lot. I was under Ted Gustis for 3 years, invaluable experience. When I was at Jackie Robb, I had Carl Walks, who was a old time. He's an old time. A lot of guys wouldn't know, but he taught me a lot. And I try to be a sponge. Like I tell the kids, learn. Constantly working, constantly trying to make sure my kids are in the best situation they can be in, and to make sure that they understand to stay in these good situations, this is what you must continually do. Stay true to myself, so that somebody can't say, you know what, he's fake. That's not real. I don't think anybody knows that. I don't think anybody see me coach sometimes, oh, that nigga be bugging. He's crazy. Nah, I coach hard. I tell my kids, I coach very hard. I coach you hard. When you go to college, you're going to get coached hard. And when you go to college, wins and losses matter. To me, wins and losses don't matter in high school. Really. In college, they matter. God can get fired for losing too much. So I'm trying to prepare you for that type of reality. Like, if I don't do it this way, I could be replaced. Trying to get them scholarships. So one thing that so today at practice, I had 3 alum come. They were home. Isaiah Folk, Jakai, and Jordan. They all came. And I always let the players talk. And one thing that Isaiah told them is, hey, guys, when I get my college bill, it always says 0.00. I don't pay for anything. I had a 3.6 grade point average. Jakai, same thing. I got a 3.2 grade point average. But you know what? It started in here because this guy, told us, you get good grades. Now it continues. Good habits continue.
Continue.
You don't ever lose a good habit. So if I'm used to doing it this way, I'm gonna do it all the time. And that goes to the game. Like, shoot your free throw the same way. Shoot your jump shot the same. Do everything the same way, and you master it. And that's and my kids will laugh, the training of the brain. I get up every morning without an alarm clock, 4:30. I start work at 6:30. I'm in the building no later than 6:15. Like I told the kids, I don't want to punch in at 6:30. I got to go right to work. Punch in at 6:15. I got 15 minutes to have some coffee, whatever I want to do. I got 15 minutes of freedom. And I try to teach them that. Why would you want to come to school at 8 o'clock, goes right to class? 7:30, 7:35,
breathe a little
McDonald's, talk to your guy, whatever.
4:30 with no alarm clock, Kenny?
Every day. And this is a true story, and they are adults that don't like it because we go on the road. I don't care if I'm in L.A., I ain't adjusting my body clock. Yeah. So we're in L.A., 3 hours behind. KP's up at 2:30. Yeah. I can't go back to sleep. Yeah. I'm up. You up. But it's just training of the brain, constantly. So I'm always on top of myself. I don't go home and say, oh, this and that. I'm not a living. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not this. I'm not
because
that.
We thought you just go home and just look at the rings and shine them up every night, no?
Nah. Sometimes. I use the rings. I brought the rings out.
Yeah.
I brought the rings out this year. I have to bring them out.
But no, Kenny, that's important. Our job is never done. We can still learn the craft. We can still get better. And that's why I wanted to ask you, one of the greatest, one of the most accomplished in this city, if he's still doing it, we all should be doing it. Humble enough to look in the mirror and challenge ourselves.
Yeah. I told you the last time, one of my favorite songs, Michael Jackson. I'm looking at the man in the mirror.
The man.
It starts with me.
Starts with you.
Starts with me. And I tell kids that. If you can't look yourself in the mirror and say, I did that, it's my fault. I didn't have to do it that way. Then you're going to be lost. Excuses, I did this, I did that, or you could rest in your laurels, and But my mother wouldn't allow that, so my mother was huge on, like I told you, my education. I actually graduated high school when I was 15 years old, turned 16. My birthday's late November, but when I got my diploma, I was 15 years old.
What?
Yes. My mother taught me how to read and write. I never went to, I told you this on the last podcast. Yes, I did. I'm quite sure.
No, go for it.
Remember I told you my mother was a teacher. Remember I told you I took the test to go to first grade when I was 3 going on 4.
No.
I was in first grade at 3 years old. I never did pre-K or kindergarten. I went straight to first grade. Skipped 8th grade. So I graduated PS 287. I grew up in Farragut Project, so I walked right there, right across the street, PS 287. I think my name's still in there. I haven't been in it in a while. But I graduated there as the top scholar in the school. My reading test level was considered perfect. So if you gave me a reading test, I ain't getting nothing wrong.
Right.
Nothing. I read it, and I answered every question. So they sent me to junior high school. In junior high school, they gave us a reading test. This was a citywide experiment, and they did stop. And if I had to do it all over, I wouldn't have did it. I shouldn't have skipped 8th grade. So I went from 7th straight to 9th grade.
Yeah.
But now you gotta remember, 9th grade in my district started. We started in high school. So I went from 7th to 9th at Brooklyn Tech. So yeah. So my mother was big on education. And the kids will tell you I still do crosswords to this day.
Ray Haskins said that. You get up and do the New York Times joint.
Yeah, I do the crossword. My mother says that's how you build your vocabulary. So I know words, like I'll tell the kids, I'll use a word like, they'll say, the water was warm. I say, the water was tepid. What? What's tepid? Another word for warm. When you do crosswords, you get that. Yeah. But so.
Kenny, I called you recently. I needed some help. I wanted to know, how do we get these kids into college? And you started to give me a master class. I said, in the summer school, I'll pull out the transcript. So, Kenny, I'm going to ask you that question. You give us that answer. When a kid shows up to Law and Tech and you feel it's your duty to put this young man in college, like, what does that process look like?
Starts in 9th grade when we have report card day. And this is a true story. And any kid that coach me, if you see him and ask him, they will say, oh, yeah, report card day, there ain't too much basketball, coach. Right. Win, lose, or draw, you have a 90 average, he still might get on you. Because if a teacher got a comment, why continually sometimes distraction in class? You got a 90, I would have been 95, whatever. But it starts right there. So we're getting trained, trying to go to college. I asked them, how many kids here want to go to college? Everybody hands is going to go up. This is what we got to do. We got to get B's. Okay, you need a 2.3 grade point average. A B is a 2.5. So you get, and you need 16 of them because we got core courses. So as a coach, you have to know what the core courses are. Okay. So 4 years of English. That's every English class a kid takes in high school counts toward college. It's the only subject like that. The only one. You need 4 years of English. Okay. So in New York, you have to know we're a semester program. Okay. Catholic schools do the whole year. So you go English 1 all the way through, English 2, your sophomore year, English 3, English 4. So they get 2 credits for that. We get a half a credit because we stop in January. Right. And then they go to English 2, which is the same thing. But, so we need 4 years of English, guys, 4 years of English. Now, we're going to need 2 years of math, which is going to be your algebra and your geometry. Trig is very hard, but you can use trig, right? So that's there. Now we need 2 years of physical science. What's physical science? Chemistry, earth science,
Biology, living environment,
all that. So we need that. Now we need 2 years of social science. Social science. Social science is history, global history, things like that.
So you're tracking this.
Yeah, so we know we need that, right? So we got 4, 3, 2, 2.
Yeah.
So that's 10. So now we still need some more. Now you have to have an additional year in any of those aforementioned subjects. So remember, you can't get an extra year of English because you only get
4.
So now between math, physical science, social science, we got to have another year. That gives you 10. Now, any 6 of your next best grades of your school's approved NCAA courses. As a coach, you have to know what's your core courses, other than the main ones. So in our school, we have journalism is a core course. We have introduction to law is a core course. Spanish, we have 6 terms of Spanish. All 6 of them are core courses. So now I got to get you 6 of those. And we need a B average.
Okay.
So that's tracked. That's why when we get that, we know after their junior years, I know you got, I won't say a name, but like I have probably 3 guys that are juniors who all, this is their 3rd year. They're going to get their third mark, their first marking period this year, but already those kids already have like 12 combination of A's and B's. Too easy.
And you send some of these kids to summer school at times?
I send kids go to summer school if they fail a class. Most of my kids don't fail a class. So I don't have to, but you can use summer school.
Oh, I thought you mentioned summer school as a way to get that.
No. I'm saying if a kid, now say a kid fails in English 1, don't let it sit there, send them to summer school. Right. It counts. Right. You're allowed to make that up. Right. That goes on your transcript. So now the NCAA sees English 1, 55, English 1, 80. They take the 80. They don't take the worst grade, they take the best grade. Right. So that's what I meant about using summer school if kids need it.
Okay.
Right? If you're doing what you're supposed to, you don't got to step foot in the summer school.
Okay.
Right? So you got to track that. You got to know. So I'm constantly knowing what's going on. Now there are courses that are not core courses. Gym, computer, music, art.
Yeah.
I get good grades in those, but I'm not gonna go, hey, you're getting a 65 and art. Who cares? Yeah. Just pass art. You need art to graduate high school.
Yes.
But I don't have to use it to get you to college.
Okay.
So and I track that for 4 years. So I know going into my kids' senior year that they're probably already qualified.
Okay, Kenny, that's academically.
Yes.
Now, finding them a basketball home. There's a lot of factors. Mom may want him to go somewhere, but the kid may not be able to compete at that school on a basketball level. So we got to find a basketball team for the kid. We got to consider his major. We got to consider the coaching staff. And is this somebody that we can trust with our young athlete? A lot of different factors, Kenny. How do you go about identifying a school? There's so many schools in this country.
Okay. First of all, at Brooklyn Law and Tech, if I have 1 to 2 Division I players, that's awesome. Most of the time, I have what I call a D2 kid.
Okay.
There are academic camps. I sent they had it again this year. The mayor went.
What time of year was this?
It's preseason, September.
September, academic camp. You have to have certain grades to get in there.
Have to have a B average. I think it's like, and not even a B. I think it's like a 82 point something. So you have to send them the transcript. And they check it and they put you in. So now and a lot of schools go to this. All the D2 schools are going to that camp. They're going.
Because there's kids there that can qualify.
Yes. Okay. Did I mark that?
No, we good.
So they already know these kids are good. Their grades are good. So now that's an easy way. Teams in there. So Folk and Jakai That's where they first been seen. That's when they were first seen by Newports, that's where Isaiah goes, and SUNY Brockport, where Chicago goes. So they identify that. Now, relationships with me is not that big. I mean, I talk to a coach. If you're recruiting my kid, you're doing me a great service.
Okay.
I'm not, unless somebody call me up and say, Kenny, this guy is a serial killer. Don't send your kid there. So we know that's not happening. The decision of what they want to do or what parents want to do, that's on the kid.
Okay.
And I simply say pros and cons, where you want to major in. You can't go to a school that don't have your major. So if I want to be an engineer, I can't go to a school that has no engineering class.
Right.
Can't do that. Basically, I tell my kids, you're open to every school because you're not a top 10 player in the nation where everybody wants you.
Right.
So sometimes we got to deal with the school that wants you.
Right.
You go visit. You could do virtual visits nowadays. Coaches are interested in you. They're gonna text you. They're gonna call you. But basically, once they know that a kid is qualified and they like the way they play basketball, then it's on the kid. Do you like the school? Because it don't matter to me. I've never in my illustrious career, if you say that, have told a kid my preference of them going to school. Mike Boynton, the head coach at Oklahoma State, and I coached him since he was 8 years old, was mad at me for that very reason.
You wouldn't tell him where to go?
Because he said his final choices came to UMass, Hofstra, University of South Carolina. He called me up, did all his visits. I went to the home visits, and he said, Coach, which school do you like? Where you going? I ain't decided yet. I like the school you going to. I don't know where I'm going. Then when you pick that school, that's the school I want you to go to.
Right.
And, Coach, man, you should tell me. No. Because if I tell you to go to that school and it doesn't work out, you're going to say, well, Coach, I went there because you told me to go there. Right. So I fray away from that. So pros and cons, pick your school. Like last year, we'll go with Chewy. He had SUNY Onetta. And then the school he wound up picking, which is, why is it going out of my head?
Some Connecticut school, right?
Yes. So they recruited him. The head coach came, this and that. And he was waffling. I said, you got to make a decision. What do you want to do? What school you like better? What you want, this and that. And he wound up picking the school he's at. I think it's, I just saw it on there. I forget. But so if the parent wants to intercede, that's your child. But I will tell kids this, the one thing I will tell them, pick a school that you want to go to. You want. Not what your mother wants, your father wants, I want, your girlfriend wants, anybody. Pick a school that you want to go to because they have what I want to major in. I like the coach, this and that. And understand basketball is not the end all or be all. If I tell my kid, you go to college, I could care less if you ever play. Yeah. Get a scholarship. Get your scholarship. Get your diploma.
Get your diploma. With Chewy, and I actually want to bring him up. Isn't there a situation right now where he's currently not on the roster?
They actually have him playing JV.
Are you disappointed in that? Is that?
I'm not disappointed.
Was he misled? Was he misled?
No, he wasn't misled. He was recruited to a school that has some seniors. He wasn't promised anything. And when they got there, I didn't know. He told me he was upset. Yeah. And I said, what are you going to do? Leave school? That's what I told him. You leave school? You going to school for free? Okay. You got to play JV. Be the best JV player they got. Maybe they move you up this year. Maybe you got to wait till next year. You got to start over. So see, once they go to school, I'm a life coach. I don't care about basketball no more. I don't. Yeah. I don't. I mean, Larry, this year he's getting a little. I don't care what Larry does. I know Larry leaving there with a master's degree.
He sure is.
I know that. I know he's making more money than I make probably now with his businesses
It's a light cheese hoodie right here.
There you go.
Light cheese merch.
And he's got NIL money now. Yeah. Now that he's allowed to profit off of his thing. Yeah. I don't care what he's doing in basketball. I really don't.
With Division III athletes like Mo Falk and Jakai, you mentioned their bills are zero. There are no scholarships or athletic scholarships at the Division III level.
Oh, no.
How do we get the money for them?
Division III has financial aid packages, and they have one of the greatest programs most of them have is called the EOP program, which is for minorities. You know what an EOP is?
No.
Scholarship, basically. They pay for everything. Everything. Room, board, books, and you get a meal plan.
HEOP. I looked that up after you told me. It's like HEOP.
HEOP. And if you're dealing with schools, those type of schools, they have it.
Is that just for New York State schools?
You have to live in New York State. You can't go out of state and the school is going to get you. You won't get EOP money. It's for the state. Now, that other state you go to can have EOP, but it's not for a New York kid.
Not for New York.
So in New York, but the EOP program, it's a great program, just like having a scholarship.
Gotcha.
So that's what I mean about finding schools. You got to put it out. We do a good job. Coach Levy does a good job on our social media pages. You see, we do a lot of highlights. Our kids are not allowed to post, so you never see them post. They repost what we post.
They cannot post clips from
because I don't allow that because I don't want you to incite anybody. Because, Siani could decide, you know what, I'm going to post that move I did in transit where the kid stumbled out. No. We'll put up what's right, wrong, and indifferent.
Really, Kenny Pretlow?
Yeah, you don't ever see my kids talking about games on their social medias, Facebook. I don't know. Well, you might not follow them.
Yeah,
they don't.
Wow.
They don't. We do it. We do a good job. We do a great job. It gets out there. We a lot of people follow us. I mean, I'm mentioning, but like some higher ups in our building, like we have the superintendent office in our office.
Yes.
And some of them follow our page.
Very cool, very cool.
And they see the different things we do with the kids. Summertime, everything we post it. And we just, the basic stuff. Now they're allowed to repost. They can put up the highlight.
But they can't go
and
cut their
now,
own video.
I will tell you this. They're allowed to put up posts if someone else is at the game and film something.
Okay.
But they're not putting a comment down there.
Wow.
They're going to put the video up. And it's just a way, because like I told you, I don't want unhealthy rivalry. So I don't want my kid to say, oh, look at this, I broke his ankles.
Yeah.
And now that kid, when we go play him, he's going to want this guy posted that. So we're going to have a healthy rivalry.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, we're going to post, and Transit does the same thing. They have great posts. I saw their post today. They're out in Maine.
Yes.
And Coach always does that for me. He does a good job. I guess they got hoodies and some bags and stuff. And I know he gets that together, however, fundraising, maybe, whatever he does. Yeah. But, that's a little pride. Like, we get our little Adidas deal. It's not that big, but, it's some pride when you look together.
For sure.
And I know any coach, I see what's the name, got some things for them. It's just a pride thing.
It's a pride
thing. Like, you know what? We don't want to go to the court and we got 12 guys looking different.
No.
So it's just, that's little pride things that kids look to. Mm-hmm. Like an adult might not think that, but it's a little prideful thing.
What else I got for you? Let's talk about your Adidas deal. You are a part of what is called the Adidas Legacy Program.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that?
Well, what Adidas did about, how long is the Adidas Legacy? About 5, 6 years in. About 5, 6 years in. They decided they wanted to go into communities and sponsor teams that they knew probably otherwise would not get a sponsorship. Mm. And make it more community. So the COVID has slowed some of the stuff down, but we used to do community things. Like we did, I don't know, one year we went to Canarsie, we did a book giveaway of bags and pencils, all type of stuff. So it's based on the community of, like I said, giving these schools that probably otherwise, we're not going to reach the tentacles, and have some pride. So it's not like I can go on my way home today because, hey, I need 12 of the brand new Dame Litters. We get a uniform, a sweatsuit. They get a walk around sneaker and a basketball sneaker, and a shirt.
That's something, Kenny.
Yeah, it's enough to you know.
Let me read this from the website. Adidas Legacy is a high school basketball platform built for underrepresented communities and designed to unite, empower, and inspire the next generation of creators. Legacy hinges on the wisdom of coaches united in their goal to inspire young men and women that they may live their communities to a better future.
Yes. And that's basically what it is. And they do great things. Jakai received a $10,000 scholarship award from Adidas Legacy. So every year they partnered with, I forgot who they partnered with, a big company. So they give out almost close to maybe 500,000 in scholarships. So you write an essay, you write, you know, what legacy means to you, what it did for you. So they did that. And he got it. I actually asked him today. He said, yeah, they sent it to the school, you know.
He got that refund. He
Right,
balling out of wages right now.
I think his first year, he needed a little extra, but you know. And then so they did that. They had a Dame Lillard did a leadership thing where he picked kids to work with him over the summer, you know.
So some cool stuff.
When Dame Lillard 3 years ago came to town, he actually came to the Brooklyn Marriott, and we didn't know. We all went there, and he surprised us. When James Harden did a pop-up, they had legacy teams.
Dame Lillard surprised y'all?
Yeah.
What was that like for the kids?
Oh, that was crazy. He took pictures with everybody.
Yeah.
Like he told him he started out his talk like, guys, let me tell you why I like this program, because I was a knucklehead.
Yeah.
He said I started out as a knucklehead. He said I got kicked in 9th grade high school. I got kicked out of that school.
Yeah.
Then I went here. And I left there and I went over there and I went there and there. But you know, the one thing I learned, hard work. I had right people around me. Boom. Donovan Mitchell came and spoke at an event.
Mitchell, that's dope.
He spoke. James Harden. So they do Adidas Legacy does a great job. So it started in L.A. Mm-hmm. Then they went to New York. Then they went to after New York. Right now it's in L.A., New York, Houston, Chicago. Started this year or last year. And that's what it is. They do a series of events. Jay David is our representative here. Jay David, who's an assistant coach at Lou High, who won that big game yesterday. I saw him on the sideline. They were hyped.
Who'd they beat?
They beat Himotep.
Okay.
You know, Himotep was undefeated. I just beat the number one.
Wow.
And they won City of Palm. Good game. And he runs the New York Jayhawks. So it's been a great program for us. It's a great program, and you know.
Dope. I only got a few more things for you. Real quick. Did you go to Arizona with Jeff?
No.
You
I don't work at Jeff, so it's kind of hard to take the week off before Christmas. My friends will be like, "You doing what?"
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't go.
Kenny, you mentioned a man, Mike Boynton.
Yes.
He is the head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys men's basketball team.
Yes.
Division I program.
Yes.
This is somebody you've known since, 9 years old?
Yes.
You coached him at Bishop Loughlin. You coached him at Riverside. Where were you when you learned that he was going to be the head coach of Oklahoma State?
In my living room, I had just heard that Coach got the job at Underwood, got the job at Illinois. Now, mind you, Brad Underwood and Mike were on staff at South Carolina.
Okay.
And then when they left when Martin came, he got rid of all the staff.
At South Carolina?
Yeah, he wanted his own staff. Now, Mike is an alumni of the University of South Carolina.
Yes, sir.
And he graduated there as one of the highest ranked black athletes ever. I think he had like a 3.6, 3.73. I don't know. He might text me later. No, coach, you don't remember. But
wow, GPA.
Yes.
You reciting his GPA stats?
Yeah, Mike Boynton was a great student. Great student. So they were at Stephen F. Austin. They changed that around. So he leaves Stephen F. Austin. Mike called me and said, I think I'm going to get this job. Because I'm not going with Brad to
Illinois.
No, he didn't get Illinois there. I'm not going with Brad to Oklahoma State.
Okay.
He got the Oklahoma State job, Brad, 1 year. Mike doesn't get the job. maybe vice versa. And I remember talking to him about it when I didn't get the Loughlin job. So he recovers. Brad calls him, hey, I still got a spot for you here. So Mike goes to Oklahoma State.
As an assistant?
As an assistant. Okay. Leaves Stephen F. Austin. They didn't give him the job. He can't stay on staff with the new guy.
Right.
Now Brad Underwood is an alumni of Illinois. His job opens up. Can't blame him. That's my alum. That's my
alma mater.
My alma mater. I got to take that job. So he leaves abruptly. So basically, Oklahoma State wasn't prepared for that. They just hired him, and he did a good job. So I knew that happened. So I'm sitting there. I swear to God, I'm sitting in my living room. ESPN is on the bottom of the screen, Michael Boynton Jr. named head coach at Oklahoma State University. I jumped up. I said, yes. His father called me probably the next minute.
Wow.
And he was crying on the phone. And he was like, oh, thank you. And that's how I learned. Mm-hmm. I didn't even call Mike for 2 days.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was
of course
swamped.
Yeah.
Swamped. He know I knew.
Yeah.
And when I reached him, he knew. He said, I knew you was going to wait until it calmed down a little bit. And I was just so proud. And I'm still proud of him. He's just, he grew up in Smurf Village. That's where he's from, right? Smurf Village. Basketball has taken him from that little neck of the woods and, Oklahoma State University, Power 5. He does a great job. He's a great recruiter. I know his value. So I know if he goes into a living room, he can convince a kid to come. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to make sure you graduate. By that. But
Kenny, we always talk about the kids that we send to college. Oh, this high school sent this D1 kid. This high school sent that D1 kid. To have a Division I coach come from your tutelage, I think is the biggest flex. Because kids will go play, but a coach, there's no way to magnify or count his impact on all the lives he's going to touch. Yeah. The assistant coaches that are going to come from his tutelage, the players that are going to be under his tutelage. So for you to have that as a part of your basketball resume is truly impressive. And that's one of the one things I want to ask you as we end this podcast. I talked about Siani Arthur being empowered on the court. We mentioned Mike Boynton. How do you go about molding a leader?
Leaders start coming as they're slowly weaned. And I'll use, Siani's on that path, and he's still got a little work to do. But I'll use my kid, Demir. He's a senior. He played varsity as a freshman. He, at first he didn't want to play. He wanted to play JV. He came into school as a freshman. He got all his friends. And he came in my office and he said, Coach, I would prefer to play JV. I said, I'm not going to argue with you if that's what you would like, but I will tell you this. I think it would be better for you to play varsity because that will prepare you for your later years here. The next day, he came into my office. He said, Coach, I thought about what you said, and whatever you feel is best for me, that's what I'm going to do. So I told him right then and there, you're going to play varsity. By the end of the year, the last 10 games, including 3 playoff games, he was a starter.
Wow. As
a sophomore, he was like a second or third option, pretty good. He wouldn't shoot as a freshman. I said to me, you got to shoot that. He just wanted to rebound and play defense. His junior year, he took more, and he's a kid, and this is what I tell kids. So last year, we lost to Transit Tech.
In the playoffs?
No, in the regular season.
Okay.
And they killed us on the boards. So I go in halftime. I wasn't happy. Not halftime, after the game. So I said, Demir, now that you're Hollywood, because, as a junior now, he's shooting more. He's shooting the ball. He's getting 20. I said, when you was a freshman and sophomore, you should rebound the shit out the ball. Now you're Hollywood, got your shades on, you don't rebound no more. I need you to rebound.
Yeah.
From that day forward to the end of the year when we lost to Murray Bertram in the Final Four, he averaged 15 rebounds a game.
Wow.
He just won't. So he's the type of kid that understands, okay, I have to do it. There's nobody else. I have to do it. And he's good with his teammates. And, you know, he's the leader. It doesn't matter that, like, you might say somebody else get this, that. He's invaluable on the defensive end. Invaluable. He's my biggest guy. And this year, what he learned in that game in transit, he probably had some dubious calls. But like I told him, once you block the first shot, which was probably a good block, I agree. It looked good to me. And the ref called, then you know what? I'm going to just wall up. I'm too, you know, I don't want to foul out. But that's like, it's got to be in you, and you just in the program, and I give you more and more responsibility. He runs the beginning of practice. Because like I told you, when they come in, they stretch, they do their layups and all that, and their shooting drills, most of the time I'm not in the gym. So he's running that.
He's running that first 15, 20 minutes practice.
Yeah, he'll, you know, stretch, okay, 3 lines, elbows, switch, you know, pull-ups, this and that, but he's running that. Because the team know, you know, he knows, okay, yeah. When coach ain't in here, the man's in charge. And I better not come in there and the man say, well, I told him to do this, he didn't want to do it.
Right.
So it's just like, and that I got from North Carolina, that every year you just give more and more responsibility. And the kids see it. Okay, as a freshman, I did this. Now as a sophomore, he wants me to do this. Now I'm a junior, I got to do this. Now I'm a senior, I'm on the top of the totem pole. Trust me to be in the gym with them by myself. He's not in there. You know, I get, you know, and it's just, that's how I don't think you could just take people and say, hey, you're going to lead. I think you just gradually get them there. And I tell kids, and Spider-Man is one of my best comments when I grew up. Boy, was I a Spider-Man fan. And the reason he became Spider-Man was when the guy ran by him and he said, with great talent comes bigger responsibility. It's that simple.
But it is something you are monitoring.
I don't monitor it because you could have some kids that don't lead vocally. Larry wasn't a very big vocal leader. Right. The leader on that team, more vocal and into it, would have probably been probably Victor. Victor was more, you know, Larry, I'm going about my business. You know, guys know. So you got to let kids figure that out. But I help because I'm going to give you, like I said, Siani last year was a shooter. This year, he handles the ball a lot more. He's not in the corner anymore.
Because, Kenny, I think our teams at times, especially teams I've been around, I think they would benefit if they had a player that walked into practice one day and said, yo, what we doing ain't enough.
Yes, you have to have that.
Like, coaches' voices, they get tired. If we had a player that came in there, even after a win, yo, yesterday's effort ain't enough, man. If we do that against Long Tech, it's going to be a long day.
Right, without a doubt. And it's called peer pressure. And I tell my guys, you know why I start smoking cigarettes? All my friends smoke cigarettes. Know why I start smoking weed? All my kids. You know why I was drinking? You know why I start going to clubs? Because my guys were going to clubs. So I said, you guys don't understand. It could be me all the time, but sometimes it got to be one of you guys. Somebody got to be able to say, yo, we don't do that here. Not here. We don't do that here. And if it falls on deaf ear, what they don't understand. So sometimes I've had this said to me, well, Coach, we was telling him he didn't want to listen. Right. So when did you come to me? Because who's the ultimate? You are, exactly. So if you come to me and say, yo, we've been telling him to stop doing that, he don't want to listen, then I'll take care of that. I would say, you got team leaders telling you stop doing that and you're going to keep doing it? All right, so we either got to get rid of you or maybe you need a couple of days away from us. So, but I mean, molding a leader, like you said, it has to come from within. I think and it don't have to be the best player. I tell the guys all the time, it does not have to be your best player who's the leader of the team.
Right.
It could be the worst player, but he's more popular. Yeah. Like all the guys gravitate, and he's into it. So it depends. It depends. But I do cherish and want a leader.
Yeah.
So that I'm not the only voice.
For sure. I'm sorry, Kenny, I lied. I got one more question for you. Mike Boynton, somebody you coached in high school and also on the AAU circuit. How would you compare?
Right quick, I was trying to think when you said that. Did Mike Boynton ever play a game that I didn't coach him in? And I don't think he did. I really don't think he did.
You was his coach.
He started with me 8. We went to Riverside. Played super biddies. We went to biddies, midgets, juniors, rises. Played CYO. I discovered him in Jackie Robinson. He played CYO with me and Omar. And Omar also is in the coaching film now.
Omar Cook, he's out in Cleveland.
He's an assistant coach at Cleveland now.
The G League team.
The G League. Now, Omar played with other people because, he went to Christ the King. He played for me at Loughlin. And I don't think he got coached by anybody other than me till we went to college.
That's what's up, Kenny.
And
but the approach to coaching a PSAL high school season versus an AAU season, summer run, a team that you don't really have with you as much. You know what I mean? You piecing guys together at times. How would you compare the approaches to coaching?
It's totally different. First of all, on the AAU team, I'm just basically trying to guide them. Mm-hmm. I don't have you all the time. I can't correct a lot of stuff that I see. I can't do that. I got you. We start in March. We're ending in the end of July. Yeah. What I do tell them is, I guarantee you're going to learn one thing from me. One, I don't care what it is. You're going to learn one thing. I can't monitor them as far as grades because I'm not at their schools.
Right.
So it's more, now I'm lucky enough that I do have kids that I want. Like Mike played AAU for me, so it was easy. Siani's played AAU for me all 3 of his years. Demir, yes. Okay. Demir's played with me all 3 of his years. So it makes it easy.
Okay.
But AAU's different. You're getting a mismatch, a marshal players that you pick from a tryout. I do pick good kids. I am not traveling anywhere with a kid that I know cannot. And I'm not because I'm not going out there and I'm worrying about you stealing, you're over there, and you out past curfew. I can't be worrying about all that. I'm here to try. You're here to try to earn a scholarship at a different level, different from my high school, where we're going to go to these tournaments and hopefully during the live period pick up. But I do practice at least once, probably twice a week. I do put in my little set, but my pad and fast break, which most kids love. They're like, wow. I had a kid tell me, he said, my coach never lets me dribble. All right, well, you got to dribble here, man. What are you going to do? Yeah. So it's different. But I treat it almost the same, but it's not the same. I mean, my high school guys around me there for 4 years. Yeah. I do year-round. I switched it to year-round with the way places are. And my parents, I have great parent participation with this team, too. So on the weekend, we got a game here, then we going there. Then Sunday we here, then we going there. Then we up here, and we over there. And just keep busy. But with my high school team, it's constantly learning. So
gotcha.
AAU is different. I had a good group this year in AAU. I had Shay from Forest Hills. I had the big kid Dave from my Rhodes playing really well. I'm very happy for him because, I think last year I looked at his stats after I picked him. He averaged 8 points. What? You should be killer. Yeah. He's killing this year.
That's what's up.
And I had the kid from Cardinal Hayes, Muhammad Torrey. He got hurt. He was their starting point guard. He was solid. And I had Siani. I had one more. Oh, I had the other kid from Monroe, the shooter. He was good. I had a good group. I enjoyed that group. And we won about 3. Oh, Chewy played. We won about 4 or 5 tournaments.
Gotcha.
It was a good group.
Kenny, somebody like you that has accomplished so much, I like to ask people like you about what's still on your list of goals. Like,
I don't have no goals. Kids have goals. My job, and I learned this from Tiny, I'm a dream keeper. So they dream, I try to help them accomplish their dreams. Well, what goals I got set? I got a good job. I'm going to retire. I have a son that I'm very proud of, with 2 beautiful grandchildren. I have, like I said, I have a good job. I have a car. I have a house over my head. I have health benefits, so I don't have any goals.
So what's that, a dream?
My goals are what my kids' goals are, to help them attain their dreams and their goals. I don't have no more goals. What I need to do. I got to tell the kids, I don't need another championship. I don't run around. I want to win the championship for them because they want to win it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to help you try to win it. It's the same thing. Like at Jeff, I mean, I revel at how hard Poppy, Connor, and Man play. I mean, these guys are off the chain. And then Ant played on that this summer. Great. They just play so hard. They play very, very hard. And I like being around those type of guys. And sometimes I tell my guys, I wish, some of you guys need to watch them little guys over there at Jeff.
Yeah.
They harass every dribble. But, I mean, of course, they want to win. So that's the thing. But me have a goal. My goal is to live a long life.
There you go.
As long as God intends me to be on earth, that's how long I want to be here. I can still accomplish things, I guess, because like I said, with my mother's training, every day I'm trying to learn something new. So it's not like I'm ever going to just plop down and stop. But to get up in the morning and say, oh, you know what, I got to win the championship. You know what, I got to beat Transit Friday. You know what, I got to beat this team on this one. No. My job is so basically the goals and the dreams of my kids is what I try to accomplish for them.
Fair
I
enough.
would be a part of it, but it's for them. Because and I tell my team that I've won enough championships to tell them the feeling. There's nothing like winning a championship. That's why they celebrate it.
Yeah.
That's why Lance had a reunion.
Yeah.
That's why I said, guys, 10 years from now, we're going to have a Brooklyn Lawn Tech reunion to celebrate the championship. And Tank and Larry and wherever these guys are, they're going to come together at a restaurant or wherever I deem it. Hopefully I'm still here. And we're going to just sit there. And like you said, you don't have to be a fly. All we did was sit there and enjoy conversations and seeing each other. I hadn't seen some of them guys since we won the championship.
Yes, sir.
So goals for me, nah.
That's it. Yo, Kenny P, masterclass in coaching, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was, like I said, I enjoyed it the last time. And like I said, my whole situation, hopefully somebody can listen to this, see it, and maybe be a little enlightened. I got to give a shout out to G. Irv. I'm so proud of him. He's another guy I coach. I only coached him for 1 year, but he's doing a great job at Nazareth.
Okay.
And the one thing, I remember when he got the job, and I don't take any, but I told him, make it your program, not nobody else's. And he's doing a fabulous job. I mean, I don't even think I want to play him. Knock me out. But I want to shout out to G. Irv. I want to shout out to all the coaches. And I told you this before. We're doing penance on earth.
Yeah.
Because giving of your time, giving of your experience, giving of your lessons, whether it's you think it reaches kids or not, when it's time for us to see St. Peter's, he's going to say, you guys are coming right on in. Because we're serving youth and we're giving them some sort of guidance and help. So don't ever lose track of that. I think some coaches get down on that. Oh, we're not winning. You ain't got to win.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years from now, that kid, I got police officers. And you say, wow, remember when he was Like yesterday, we celebrated Poppy Day. Remember, why was it a Poppy Day? When Poppy was a freshman, he was failing classes. He was all over.
Yeah.
Now he's an 89 student.
Yeah.
So like Bud said, you know what? Why do I have to wait to celebrate what he's accomplished? It was a beautiful day to all his family was there. But to all the coaches, that's what it's about.
Salute. That's WBH Radio. I'm William Holly. We out.